So my name is Živilė Stankevičiūtė, and today me and my colleagues from Kaunas University of Technology will talk about sustainable urban mobility. I hope that all of you know that sustainable urban mobility is one of the main challenges European cities are facing today, and Kaunas, as the second biggest city of Lithuania, is not an exception. Following the survey data announced a couple years ago, about 57% of the citizens use their cars to get around the city, and about 29% of locals use the public transport network. Meanwhile, only 10% of the locals prepare to get around on foot, and only 4% of the inhabitants of Kaunas choose bicycle. So the question is why? And Kaunas municipality several years ago decided to change the habits of the citizens, and one of the initiatives Kaunas started with was related to sustainable urban mobility planning. And today I would like to ask my colleague Visvaldas, who was the leader of the committee dealing with sustainable urban mobility planning, about that initiative. So maybe you could tell more about what was the background and what was the reason to start with that initiative, and what is the core idea of this initiative.
The main idea, which was also the main driver for initiation of Kaunas Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan development, first of all, was a need to have very well developed and measurable tool for policy making. And planning and development of mobility system in city, both infrastructure and citizens' behavior change, must rely on three main conditions. First of all, plan must be integrated. We can't solve separately different mobility options like bicycle, cars, public transport, and so on. Everything must be done integrated. Second major aspect is that plan must be systematic. It means that we should also rely on data, on modeling, and also we should analyze not only the mobility issues, but also put the data of social economical development of a future city to have the conditions for changes and be as much as possible correct with the future predictions how city is going to develop, because planning is something about the future. And the third one, that sustainable urban mobility plan must be a long-term strategy. So it means it's not from year to year, some changes, some repairments of path or bicycle roads or something else, but we should have aggregated general long-term vision for future long-term city mobility development. And these three preconditions really allows us to develop sustainable urban mobility plan, which really assess mobility needs of townspeople and ensure various opportunities for movement in the city.
Yeah, thank you very much. It seems that Kaunas started very nice initiative, and but the question always is that, to have a political document and to have different initiatives is really nice. But the second question is that the citizens, they use these initiatives and these possibilities to behave more sustainable. So sustainable urban mobility refers to various dimensions as reduce the use of private cars, cycling, walkability, access to public transport. And now I would like to continue our conversation regarding how to promote sustainable urban mobility habits in mentioned areas. So Visvaldas, I would like again to start with you, and I would like to ask you what initiative or what changes have been implemented in Kaunas city in order to encourage, to motivate Kaunas people to use public transport.
So the competition between private transport and public transport is always happening, because it's very difficult to win for public transport, because when you are traveling with public transport, so definitely public transport is going not where where you want, not when you want, and you are not alone in it. So the three main conditions which really makes private transport very comfortable. But in other hand, so this was the hint what we need to do. There were three main pillars on which was developed the strategy for improvement of public transport. First of all, we decided that we need to improve transport speed in transport flow. It means that we planned in the main streets the separate lines dedicated to public transport, also identified the crossroads where with the traffic lights where public transport must be priority. So at the end of the day, during the heavy traffic, the public transport is always fastest. So this is one condition. Next condition is improvement public transport infrastructure quality and level of comfort. New buses, new trolley buses, comfortable, warm in the winter time and chill in the summertime public transport will be also the condition to choose this way of transportation. And then, of course, the last precondition is well-organized public transport network. So the properly analyzed needs of citizens, how many of citizens and where traveling in which time of the day, and of course the organization and information about how I can reach from point A to point B in some particular time when I need. So it's also the important condition, and many measures and many improvements are already started to be implemented in the city, but of course many of them still are going to come, and our bus and trolleybus fleet is one of the newest in Europe.
Okay, sounds great, but I would like to ask two Kaunas citizens, Joanna, do you use public transport and why? And do you recognize all these nice things Visvaldas just mentioned?
Well, I believe they're still in development. I have used public transport during summer and at the beginning of the autumn. However, as Visvaldas mentioned, it is still somewhat inconvenient. And as he was talking, one incident came into my mind that this new initiative is being implemented, and is implemented. They're doing it by Kaunas Public Transport, where buses and trolley buses they can skip some stops if there are no people waiting to step in the bus or step out of the bus. And as I was waiting for my trolley bus, which should have gotten me to a connecting bus ride, the trolley bus rode into the bus stop, but did not do a full stop and then just left with me standing in the bus stop. So this was very inconvenient, and I was left with no choice but to take a taxi to my destination. And in the city, I would say that the public transport is fairly well structured and organized. You can reach a lot of places pretty conveniently. However, if you're going somewhere a bit into the outskirts of the city, into the industrial zones, where people go to work in manufacturing and then maybe a larger office facilities, it is oftentimes a bit less convenient, as there are fewer public transport opportunities to reach those places. I have to be 2 times per week in one of these industrial zones, and there's only one bus going there with the period of 1 hour in between the buses. And if you don't catch your connecting transport, you will definitely miss them.
Okay, so you see a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, and of course, these buses or trolley buses do get stuck in the traffic, as some of these streets are very narrow, and they get clogged up with the rest of the transport participants, and we are waiting in the same line.
Okay, and what about your experience?
I'm not very experienced public transport user, but I could share one example when I used with public transport opportunities when I have a guest, from foreign guest in the project meeting, and it was about 15 people, and it was easier for me to move from one university campus to another using public transport, because it was very simple to buy, these tickets or cards, and you can use for 7 people just with one card. And it was cheap, easy, and I liked it very much. And also I think that for foreign people, for tourists in our city, the public transport is quite well organized, and I use public transport when I'm outside my city. Usually I am using it very much. So it's, I think that, but a little bit more information and communication, how it's easy to use, how to check. I think that some apps that could show some connections and, routes and everything. These stuff are very important, especially for young people, and I think that in that direction, Kaunas public transport is developing very well.
So we can tell that regarding the public transport, Kaunas is on the way to success story. Let's conclude.
We need to take into account that the Kaunas urban mobility plan is developed and all measures must be implemented until 2030. So we still only 2 or 3 years started to implement, and financing period just started. So we have only the very beginning of implementation of what is planned. And planned, we have more than 140 different measures.
Okay, so nice things are still waiting for us.
I
Okay,
hope so.
I would like to move our discussion to cycling, because I see there are a lot of possibilities here in Kaunas and a lot of initiatives for people who like to cycle. So, Visvaldi, what have been done already? And Joanna, Egle, do you cycle?
So also the cycling is one of the major topics, and there are some also main preconditions to have the boost of cycling and behavior change. So we have a project like Bike Kaunas, which is ongoing for a couple of years, and the main idea that we have quite a big number of bicycle tracks in the city, but these are not connected into the network. Okay. So the plan is to connect everything into the network at up to 2030, we are planning to have 143.8 kilometers of bicycle tracks.
Sounds great.
And it will be very, very, very much connected between. And so network of walking and cycling infrastructure is also integrated approach, because we are combining cycling with walking. And also we have some challenges with the hills, because Kaunas is the city between 2 high hills. And there is maybe a long-term idea, but it also can be implemented like in other European cities, some equipment which allows to carry the bicycle together with the rider up to the hill. You can put one leg, and this is a small elevator which really supports you. And we identified 7 or 8 places where these elevators could really work.
That sounds great, because when I'm cycling in the city, I live on one of these hills. If I'm too tired to cycle up or push my bike to it, I just jump on a trolley bus or bus, because they have these stickers like bike, so it means that they accept bikes. But the issue is that they accept only one bike per bus or trolley bus.
Okay, Egle, do you bike sometimes? And what is your experience?
Yes, I bike, but I connect with biking more with leisure time, with sport activity in nature, but not in the city, because in the city I feel a little bit fear, a lot of cars, a lot of pedestrians, and you need to care about everyone. So for me, biking is still like, leisure activity in countryside, in nature, and like more like sport activity, not like transport from home to work.
And I tried biking to university, to this industrial zone. It is possible. However, of course, it is somewhat hard to use bike in the near the center of the city, in these old parts of the city, where they have old infrastructure, old sidewalks, and narrower streets, so you don't feel as safe. However, there are some arteries for biking in the city, not only in the center, but throughout the whole city, where you can, fairly conveniently bike towards some, main destinations. However, once you reach the end of the bike lane, you are often left without a sidewalk, and you are at the, part of the street commute. So that is scary, definitely, and especially in the streets where the private transport is going much above the speed limits.
Yeah, and I think that it's very bad decision is when the same road is for pedestrians and for bikers. You know, and it is, where people need to share this not very wide road, and sometimes you are scared because the little children with small bikes, they are moving, and you need to be very concentrated. It's more difficult when you are driving car, to use the same road. So I don't know why it is such solution. Maybe it is difficult to rearrange or to provide different roads for pedestrians and for bikers.
Okay, so Visvaldi, is Kaunas friendly city for people who like to walk?
I think yes, and encouraging and motivating of Kaunas citizens to walk is also a very integrated approach. It's not related only with some barriers to reach some points with car, but also with well-developed infrastructure, surrounding spaces, public spaces, schools, other public institutions should be adopted for walking, and also parks, which we have plenty of them in Kaunas city, because the Kaunas city is quite unique. We have two forest areas, Panemunės Šilas and Oak Park, Ąžuolyno Park. So this infrastructure, which is suitable only for pedestrians, for walking, must be renovated and very friendly for people, so it must be safe to walk and attractive to walk. And what we see in the last years in Kaunas, many of different parks were renovated, upgraded, and nowadays from the morning till the late evening, these parks are full of people who are walking. So I guess this is the main key, to invite people to spend their leisure time by walking inside the city.
Okay, so it sounds also great, and let's move to one more dimension of sustainable urban mobility, to less use of private cars. At the beginning of our conversation, Visvaldi, you told that for public transport it's quite difficult, to compete with private cars. So what can city does, and also what can we do in order to use private car less? Not so often.
According to the analysis which was made, and huge research and the loads of data were analyzed, how Kaunas citizens are moving, what is the current mobility, we identified 28 microcenters in Kaunas city, where people are moving between their living place, local shop, local school, local institutions, cultural or medical, and so on. And inside this micro center, the walking paths are not very well developed. That's why people sometimes are choosing to take a car and go around the micro center for 1.5 kilometers instead of walking a couple of 100 meters by feet. So we made a project to upgrade and renovate these yards and paths, walking paths inside these micro centers. So this is one of the biggest, I guess, project. And second initiative, which is already started and raised quite a lot of discussions, as we use this stick and carrot method. So we announced a pollution-free zone in the old town, and this zone will be expanded to the city center. So the transit of public cars will be quite costly in the future. So people will be invited to choose alternative possibilities of mobility, not to cross the old town, especially, which is very crowded. And as it's in the bottom between two hills, so also we have air pollution and
Noise.
particle and noise and dust. So this is also the option. But I must say that this initiative to reduce the flow of public transport inside the old town and the center of the city is also combined with improvement of public transport, of bicycle roads, of walking paths. So there is always should be alternatives. If you are banning something, you also need to provide a couple of options or alternatives.
So, Joanna, do you use your car very often, every day?
No, I do not use my car every day. I go most of the, half of the time I go by foot to lectures, and the other half I use my car. But I use, the principle, if I can walk to a destination, I try to walk there.
Egle, what about you?
In my case, I'm using car every day, but I like only to go from my. I live in Kaunas district, therefore it's very important for me to reach the city. And when I am reaching the city, I try to park the car and to walk as much as possible. To use this opportunity. And even if I don't have a place where to walk, I'm using stairs in the university building just for moving. Just to. Because I see this walking as very healthy habit, and so, yeah. And I like that in Kaunas city center, you can walk. It's very pedestrian-friendly areas with no cars, and I like this pedestrian street, Laisvės alėja, and this on Old Town is very much, because not all the cities has this, totally pedestrian areas when you can walk very safely, not turning around, and scaring of cars.
Okay, so thank you very much for sharing your experience